Welcome back to Askewed Reviews. And just like I did earlier today, I'm doing another trivia review in honor of the passing of Gene Hackman. I know that happened a few months ago, but it was only recently that I figured out what I wanted to do, and that was choose two random films that Gene Hackman has been in that I've never seen before and do a review for each of them. So the second movie that I chose was the 1990 film Loose Cannons. Here's your trivia question for today. At the beginning of the film, Harry Gutterman is on a boat with people dressed in costumes. What were they all dressed as? The answer will be at the end of this episode. In the film Loose Cannons, we meet our main character of Mac MacArthur Stern, who is a very good cop, although a little unorthodox. Unfortunately, he and his wife are in the middle of an argument, so he is currently living out of his car. To help get his mind off of that, he starts working on a really crazy case. He also ends up with a new partner named Ellis Fielding, who has one of the best analytical minds. Unfortunately, that mind is also certifiable, as he does have multiple personality syndrome. Luckily, Mac and Ellis do get some assistance, though, with some help from a criminal named Harry the Hippo Gutterman and a foreign agent named Riva. However, though, it does appear that the government is working against these two and trying to steal the case right out from underneath them. So, can Mac manage to rein in Ellis and manage to have him and all of his personalities help solve the case? This movie was directed by Bob Clark. The film was completely finished in 1988, but was not released until 1990. The original working title for this film was The Von Metz Incident. In 2013, an employee at the Calgary, Alberta landfill found a film negative. He noticed it was of a man kneeling over a victim's body. He thought it could be evidence and gave it to the police. After some investigation, they realized that the man in the negative was Dan Aykroyd. They contacted his agent, and after a little bit of work, it was eventually found out that this was a discarded negative from the film Loose Cannons. Aykroyd made a statement afterwards saying that he wishes that the negative, along with the film, would have just stayed buried. Aykroyd did actually do research into deviant behavior and multiple personality syndrome. What's interesting, though, is when this movie was first made, it was known as MPD, or multiple personality disorder, but nowadays it is now known as DID, or dissociative identity disorder. When Ellis switches into these other personalities, they all seem to be pop culture references. Here are some of the impressions that he goes through: Popeye the Sailor, Captain Kirk, Ricky Ricardo, Pee Wee Herman, the Road Runner, and the Wicked Witch of the West. One of the reasons that Dom DeLuise agreed to play the character of Harry the Hippo Gutterman is he got an opportunity to play with all sorts of fake weapons, one of which was a Gatling gun. Speaking of weapons, Gene Hackman had a blast playing with the blunderbuss in this movie. The character of Grimer is played by Paul Koslow, but the role was almost played by J.T. Walsh. Here are some other actors and actresses that appear in this film that you might recognize: Nancy Travis, Ronnie Cox, David Allen Greer, Reg E. Cathy, Tobin Bell, Robert Prosky, Dick O'Neill, Leon Rippey, S. Apatha Merkerson, and Bill Fagerback. Did you happen to know that comedian and actor Andy Dick does appear on the cover art poster for this film, but is not in the movie? Around this time, Andy Dick was getting a lot of work in print ads, and that's why he's just there. In the theme song for this movie, it's pretty easy to realize that Dan Aykroyd is the male singer, but the female singer in this is none other than actress Katie Seagal. When Mac and Ellis are in the interior of the Capitol building, that's not actually the building they're in. For the movie, they filmed inside the National Museum of Women in the Arts. This movie was filmed in North Carolina, New York, and the District of Columbia. So when it comes to the film Loose Cannons, this movie is kind of funny and a little bit entertaining. I wouldn't say it's amazing. It definitely rides the coattails of the buddy cop movie trend that was very popular in the 80s and early 90s. I will say it's at least worth one watch if you haven't seen it before. So I'm giving this one a 2 out of 5. And if you did enjoy it, other movies I recommend checking out are Armed and Dangerous, Taxi, See No Evil, Hear No Evil, and Running Scared. Now it's time to answer the trivia question from the beginning of this episode. At the beginning of the film, Harry Gutterman is on a boat with people dressed in costumes. What were they all dressed as? Everyone on the boat was dressed as characters from Alice in Wonderland, and Harry was the Queen of Hearts. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews. And if you haven't already watched my other Gene Hackman review that was all about The Firm, go and check that one out as well.